Hi, my name is Phil. I like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss the rather strange events of the last couple of days regarding Boris Johnson, the BBC, and the Andrew Neil interview, which, is it happening or is it not? But first, if you'd like to watch more of my videos, then please click the subscribe button and also the bell notification icon next to it. So, this all started out really after Jeremy Corbyn's interview with Andrew Neil, who, for those who don't know, is a political journalist stroke correspondent for the BBC. He used to do economic news and then he moved into full-on politics. And he's an intelligent bloke and he knows what he's about. And in theory, he could do pretty good interviews with any MP or Prime Minister. But there's always been this thing about the fact that he is himself very, right-wing and a Tory supporter. As you can see behind me, this is one of his many social events with senior Conservatives. He does this a lot. This wasn't him in his capacity as a journalist, but because he himself is a big supporter of the Conservatives. And that in itself doesn't mean you can't do the job of a journalist. If we were going to say that, it'd be impossible to be a political journalist, because any decent journalist is, of course, going to be intelligent and well-informed. And if you're intelligent and well-informed about politics, inevitably you're going to have a political view, which means there will be some views you believe in and some you don't. And it's, of course, easier to attack views you don't believe in and easier to potentially, inadvertently, give an easier time to people who are expressing the views you do agree with. But you need to be aware of that and still be objective. And there's always a suggestion that Andrew Neil is not at all objective. So what was supposed to be happening is he was supposed to be interviewing various party leaders. Jeremy Corbyn went on it and it was a total disaster. He was certainly not going to be given an easy time by Andrew Neil, but he shouldn't be either. It's not the interview with Jeremy Corbyn that's the issue here. It's the fact that Jeremy Corbyn attended that interview on the understanding that Boris Johnson was also going to be interviewed. Then it transpired that Boris Johnson was saying he wasn't going to attend that interview. And there's been a bit of a row, but not an almighty. It hasn't really blown up massively, but there has been a bit of a row. And you just think, was the BBC in on this to get Jeremy Corbyn on, but then let Boris Johnson away with it? And then a couple of days ago, someone said something on Twitter. I think I might have alluded to this in a different video, that someone was saying, maybe it's just a bit of a distraction, that Boris Johnson will end up doing the interview. And by being difficult to begin with, everyone will be thinking, oh, what's he scared of? Oh, Andrew Neil must be one of those journalists that gives politicians a hard time. Because most people have no idea, even when they're watching the interviews. They don't know the difference between a politician giving, a journalist, giving a politician a hard time and not, because they don't necessarily understand the significance of the answers or non-answers given, or the significance of questions not asked. But that's the view that they want to get in people's minds. And then Boris Johnson does turn up, does the interview, and people go, oh, that was all right. Oh, and that was a journalist really going after him. And Boris Johnson came out all right. Yeah, he's the man. And someone was sort of suggesting this a couple of days ago, and I was a wry little smile from me. I thought, yeah, wouldn't put it past him. But now I'm actually wondering, because that was just me thinking, yeah, they're probably not doing it for that reason. This is probably just Boris Johnson avoiding an interview like he always does. And but now there's a bit more credibility, because yesterday a few things were happening actually, but yesterday the BBC announced that Boris Johnson was supposed to be going on the Andrew Marr show this Sunday, tomorrow I suppose from your point of view, and the BBC is saying, no, you're not just going to pick and choose which things you come on. If you don't commit to coming on the Andrew Neil interview, you're not coming on Andrew Marr. Which was strange for two reasons. First of all, taken out of context, you would think, good. That's what broadcasters should do. You don't want to get interviewed by this guy because you'll look a bit silly because you're not really any good. But you're just trying to pick and choose how you present yourself. No, we're going to hold you to account. And you either play along with that or you don't. But the BBC don't do that. They do play along. They always play along. There are senior members of the news team who are, like Andrew Neil, close personal friends of senior members of the Conservative Party. And they've been doing this for some time, where they have been given Conservative politicians an easy ride, not challenging them the things they're getting wrong on a consistent basis. But the other strange thing about this is what the BBC are basically saying is that Andrew Marr is no good at his job. Because are they saying that Andrew Marr isn't going to be, you know, tough with Boris Johnson? Well, it doesn't matter who should be interviewing him. They should be holding him to account, whoever it is. And it's really odd behaviour. And now I'm thinking, again, it's proper tinfoil hat time. I am thinking, maybe this is a stitch up. Maybe there is some collusion here and they're making a big fuss about it. Then Boris Johnson does go on eventually. And like, you know, the person was alluding to on Twitter, you know, you're getting this impression, oh, Johnson's running scared, Johnson's running scared. He won't do the interview. Andrew Neil must be, you know, going to be really tough on him, really tough. And because Andrew Neil himself was complaining a few days ago when people were saying, look, you know, he's not going to be tough on Johnson, not like he is with the others. And he was going, oh, you'll find I am. He may be tougher than Andrew Marr just for his own professional standards. He's not going to be. But yeah, I'm thinking now, I think Boris Johnson is going to do the interview. And there's no way he can be bounced into it, by the way. There's any number of ones he just hasn't done. He didn't do the Channel 4 debate as well, did he? But there's any number of ones he will just refuse to do it. So if he goes on to that, if he does actually do the Andrew Neil interview, I am going to be convinced at that point it was all a stitch up to, first of all, distract for a week or so. And second of all, to make it seem that Andrew Neil is a really tough interviewer and is going to really put him, put him under the cosh. And Boris Johnson will come out of it looking all right, not, breezing through the interview, and everyone go, wow, Boris Johnson had the answers. Yeah, he can stand up to a grilling. I'm not convinced of it, but I am getting to the point where I'm thinking, yeah. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button if you'd like to support the channel further. Then also please click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.